I'm sure some of you are wondering, Justin, are you going to tell us about fragrances that got you compliments? Well, yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. But as you can see, I did not explicitly title this video around compliments because I didn't want to lure in any old average Joe.
No offense if your name is Joe.
Who's looking to boost his self-esteem by buying fragrances he doesn't need but unknowingly tricking himself into the illusion that people will like him more and affirm his purchasing decisions. Trust me, Joe, you smell good. Don't worry about it. But if that's what you're looking for in this video, save your money, but don't click away just yet. I wanted this video to attract the real ones, those who are looking for entertaining and informative stories. And if the lack of the word compliment did not prevent you from clicking on this video, then you, my friend, are a real one. Now, I did a video about my worst fragrance horror stories, which you can check out up here, and I am so thrilled and grateful that so many of you guys enjoyed that video, and many of you guys in that video asked for an other side of the coin type of video, so that's what we're doing here. All the fragrances I mentioned will be linked in the description should you want to try them, hopefully not just to get compliments because they may not do that. And let's dive right into it. These are going to be in chronological order from earliest to most recent. In late August of 2023, I had a rooftop performance. I led a quartet for a private audience, playing a lot of my own original music and just some of my favorite tunes, and it was a glorious evening, beautiful late summer night. And for that occasion, I wore Oud Galore from Chris Collins, one of my absolute favorite fragrances in my collection, and definitely one of my favorite Oud Rose fragrances. It's one of the most easy to approach yet high class, high quality, luxurious Oud Rose fragrances I think you can put your nose on. It has this opulent, rich, buttery, silky smooth quality to this sweet, warm, spicy, forest-based Oud Rose fragrance. Simply put, it just smells expensive, and I've loved this fragrance for a long time. I wore it that night, and after the show, I'm sitting at a table with some acquaintances. I don't know them very well, but one of them I know pretty well. The others are friends of hers, and we're all just chatting it up, and out of the blue, one of the friends of my acquaintance says to me, "Justin, whatever fragrance you're wearing smells like you." I was like,
wow.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. I don't even really care what it is, but it smells amazing and it just makes sense. So I actually didn't even tell her what it was because it obviously wasn't necessary, but I've definitely held that compliment really close to my heart because I've never received anything else like it. That is the most impactful compliment I think I could ever receive outside of my wife, because it has nothing to do with, oh my gosh, that fragrance smells amazing. What are you wearing? Nothing wrong with that. But that's just the surface for me. This compliment went below the surface and I'll never forget it. Super positive memory for a fragrance I already loved and was wearing up to that point. But because I was wearing it with confidence, I think it just helped. That's Oud Galore from Chris Collins. This next fragrance, to be honest with you, I don't even own anymore. And I think that's a testament to the fact that I don't really just wear fragrances for compliments. I got rid of this fragrance not long after I got this compliment on it because it didn't necessarily move me as much as I wanted it to. It's really good, but just didn't quite get over the hump. From the house of commodity, it's Moss Plus. I think I talked about this fragrance a couple times on the channel. I'll try to put up some B-roll at some point from a previous video when I still had it. And to my memory, what this fragrance smells like is the base of Aventus. It's almost like the woody, mossy freshness of Aventus's base. Maybe a little bit of citrus up top, kind of makes it bright, but not super juicy, but still fresh. A fresh, easy, simple, moss-based, very versatile fragrance that was pleasant. And I wore this to, of all places, a rose convention. It was basically a competition inside of a mall where all of these rose growers brought their roses and had them judged, and a winner was announced. Grace and I got there after the winner was announced. We just happened to stumble in and we were just walking around checking it out. One of the judges, an older lady, came up to us and asked us if we had any questions about the roses, and we did. So we were just chatting it up. We were learning from her about what this competition's all about, how it works, how long it's been going on, and all that good stuff. And in the middle of her explanation, she stops and she looks at me and she says,
"You smell really good."
"Oh, thank you."
Like really, really good.
Thanks. It's called Moss Plus from Commodity. As I'm sure you can see, I'm getting a little bit uncomfortable.
Yeah, that's great. Really, really great.
She was just so emphatic, and I was like, why are we... I like compliments, but why like this? My wife is right here. She's looking at me, smiling. She's looking at this lady, smiling, and she just starts kind of like giggling uncomfortably, and I'm just like saying thank you over and over, and I appreciate it. Yeah, I like it. It's a good scent. She's like,
Yeah, it's a great choice.
and we were just kind of stuck in that weird little black hole of that compliment for probably a solid minute and a half, which may not sound like a lot of time, but that's a long time to be uncomfortable. Needless to say, that conversation ended. I walked away with the win, but it was a weird win. Now, did the weirdness of that situation lead me to get rid of that fragrance? Actually, no, not at all. I just never really wore it again for whatever reason. After that, I just wasn't drawn to it. And as I got rid of a ton of fragrances, not long after that, that one went too. In fact, one of you watching this may have been the one to get it. So if that was you, I hope you're enjoying it. But that was my short-lived experience with Moss Plus from Commodity. A good fragrance. Fast forwarding to March of 2024. It was late March. I was in New York City flying back home. I had been there for a few days doing some recording at a recording studio in Brooklyn. And upon checking my luggage, the woman said,
What do you have on? That smells delicious.
"Oh, Gambit from Mind Games." You know, she didn't know.
Gambit?
Yeah, Gambit, Mind Games. Yeah, it's a kind of, let me just show you. So I pulled it up for her on my phone and she looked at the picture of it. She's like,
Like, well, that's a cool looking fragrance.
and then she looked at the price and she was like,
Jesus Christ.
she said she wanted to get it for her husband and she probably would, but she's like, I might have to work another month of shifts before I decide to buy that fragrance. And I said, I totally get it. I wouldn't recommend buying it if you do want him to be able to check it out without buying the full bottle and risking him not actually liking it. Here's a decant site, you can check it out. She was very thankful, but I walked away feeling triumphant for two reasons. Number one, yeah, I got affirmed on a fragrance I love wearing. It was the first time I'd ever been complimented on it, and I was already loving it up to that point, so it was just a cherry on top. But the second reason I felt triumphant was because I helped her avoid the obligation to buy a full bottle of this fragrance. Because yes, it is expensive. I can't recommend just picking it up unless you just got it like that. I will link down to a sample if for whatever reason you haven't tried it yourself. But ma'am, you're not seeing this video. But nonetheless, I'm sending out good vibes and energy. I hope you're able to get this in some form, and now your husband's wearing it and you're following him around everywhere telling him that he smells delicious. That's Gambit from Mind Games. Late May of 2024, I'm at a concert. Fantastic concert. The concert ends, the lights turn on, and as soon as the lights turn on, I hear a voice from the row behind me saying,
Okay, oh my gosh, what are you wearing? I've been smelling it the whole time. What is that?
and I was completely caught off guard. I was like, turned around real shakily, looked at her and saw that she was serious. Oh, it's from a Turkish brand called Nishane, and the fragrance is called Papilefiko.
What?
So I had to just show it to her on my phone so she could see the words written out because she didn't understand a single word I said. Anyway, yes, Papilefiko from Nishane. She was very emphatic, and as she was walking away, she's like,
Oh my, it's so good. Oh my, I just couldn't believe it.
and mind you, I was a little bit self-conscious when I showed up at this concert because I didn't expect to be as packed in as we were, and it was pretty strong. I didn't go crazy on the trigger, maybe 3 sprays max, but I was smelling it pretty strongly the whole time and getting a little self-conscious, like, man, I might be choking everyone out around me. But lo and behold, it was actually doing well. It was performing just the right amount to not be obnoxious, but to be noticeable. So this borderline fougere fragrance with this fresh, spicy, and sweet balsamic base that's very gentlemanly and kind of sexy dazzled this girl. I don't know if she wanted it for her or for a partner. Either way, I'm happy to have shown a new stranger a new fragrance that they probably never would have ever heard of outside of that situation. Nishane Papilefiko. And this final fragrance is kind of a sad one because you can't really buy it anymore. Unless you find it secondhand, overpriced. You can't find this fragrance anymore. It was a limited edition. It's sold out. There's many of you guys who have it, who still enjoy it. I get your messages. A lot of you guys who didn't get it, either because you just slept on it and didn't want to buy it at the time, or you came in after the fact and now you're like, man, I'm hearing all this talk about this fragrance and I missed it. Dang it. Brass and Soul, my first collaboration with the House of Zaharoff. This fragrance, as you can see, I've gotten a lot of wear out of this. I love this fragrance. It's me in a bottle. Its follow-up Second Soul is even more of me in a bottle. But I wore this in June of 2024 to a crawfish boil. I'm standing with my wife and this girl who's in the vicinity of us for maybe the past 5 minutes up to this point is just kind of lingering. And I notice her and she's with a friend and they're smiling at us and I just smile back, you know, wave hello. And she takes that opportunity to come over and says,
Excuse me, one of you smells so good and it leans more masculine. Is it You?
And she just kind of looked up at me with these big puppy eyes. I mean, yeah, I guess it is. If it does lean masculine, then it's probably what you're smelling.
Well, what is it?
It's called Brass and Soul. It was a limited edition fragrance that I collaborated with a brand called Zaharoff to create, but you can't really buy it anymore.
Okay, if I can't get it myself, maybe I can just keep standing here so I can keep smelling it?
And I looked at Grace and she just laughed. I'm like, yeah, sure. It was so charmingly awkward, but a good time nonetheless, and a very welcomed compliment. That is Brass and Soul. If you have this fragrance, if you love this fragrance, chime in and let everyone else know what you think down in the comments. All right, those are some of my most positive fragrance experiences. I hope you enjoyed. If you want to see more content like this, let me know. Happy to share more stories with you guys. I think storytelling is just way more fun, way more entertaining for you, for me, and I think it feels just more human. It's less theoretical, less conceptual, less like, oh, this liquid in this bottle smells really good, you should spray it on. No, we're talking about lived experience. So I hope you enjoyed it, and thank you so much for tuning in. Peace. I'll see you in the next one.